Evening all. Let's get started, shall we? We'll get straight into tonight's stream. Let's not dither. We've got lots to do. Tonight's stream will run for exactly 2 hours, or thereabouts. Basically, I'd like to finish at 9 because I've got some other things to do. Plus, I've had a very, very busy day today, believe it or not, which is something I don't say as often as perhaps I should do. But I've had a very, very busy day today, going out to the uni to talk about XVI again, as well as doing some other stuff for the enterprise team at the University of Hertfordshire. It's been very, very fun, but very, very tiring. So we'll get started on tonight's stream. I had to pick something really difficult to do tonight, didn't I? After having a long, busy day, but we will get through it, and I will promise not to grumble as we go through it. First and foremost, some formalities. So last week I said there was going to be a new website launching this Monday, and this Monday the new website launched. We had a little bit of a teething problem with the latest OpenTTD save file not loading first try. There were 2 new GRF files that weren't in the new GRF folder for some reason. Thankfully, George pointed it out to me very quickly, and I was able to fix the problem, and the save file now works. So if you do want to go and download that, feel free to do so. I am considering updating it actually between last week and this week, so that episode 35 would be the latest version of the map to go on the website. Reason being is I've done some more tweaks with the base cost new GRF. I'm trying to stop the company from hemorrhaging money is the short reason as to why I've done that. I think I might have cracked it, but I've replaced the old base cost new GRF with a new base cost new GRF. So there's a couple of tweaks with the game settings, so it might be worth creating a new version, but we will see. Hopefully you can all see me. Hopefully you can all, well, you can't literally see me. Hopefully you can see the game. Hopefully you can hear me. I think that's it for the admin side of things, and we can get cracking straight on with the episode. Good evening, Frank. Good evening, George. Welcome to the stream, as always. George has been working very, very hard on the station codes, and I'm very impressed that you've managed to get them done so quickly, because I imagined it would take a few weeks at least. So that there's thousands of stations, if I'm not wrong, on this this network. So to get them all done, very, very impressive. I'm assuming you've just done the rail stations and not the bus stops as well, because I think that would be a little too much to ask, and I'm not expecting anyone to have gone away and done that, believe me. So yeah, we're going to be doing 2 things tonight, which doesn't sound like much until I say what those 2 things are. So the first thing we're going to be doing is planning out fully and building a new rail route between Drentbourne and Plenborough. This is something that George suggested many, many weeks ago now. 3 or 4, maybe even longer weeks ago. And it's to do with the new Gardcity Southeastern and Southeastern franchise that we're going to be creating over the next few weeks. So that's part 1 of tonight's stream, and then part 2 is going to be upgrading the Great Central Route, which is now named the Southeastern Main Line, between Buntbourne Parkway, Buntbourne Town, and Drentborough. Drentborough? No, Drentbourne. Don't know why I've put Drentborough. I'm a little bit concerned that no one said they can hear me. Don't just ignore me when I say things like that, guys. That's genuinely me being paranoid, making sure that the stream's working. I'll give it a second. The stream delay isn't too bad at the moment. I checked just now. So hopefully I'm audible. Hopefully. Anyway, I will get into the starting position just in case. Sounds fine. Thank you, Frank. Much appreciated. So the first thing we're going to be doing, I can hear you had a conditional formatting on the sheet, meaning if I typed a code already used, it fills the cell in red and fills the cell in blue if the name of the station, HLR, Gardcity Metro and Rail. Oh, c'est magnifique. That is perfect. That was the next question I was going to ask you actually, was is it formatted? Beautiful. That means if I ever add to it myself, I'll be able to tell if there's a duplicate. So massive thank you for doing that. And that's exactly how I'd have done it as well. So As I say, c'est magnifique. Right, Drentbourne. I'm trying to find Drentbourne. It is this way. And then it's this way. And then it's this way. It's somewhere around here. Here it is. So this is Drentbourne Rotaia. Rotaia being Italian for rail station, I'm reliably informed. Now, yeah, where does this one... Okay, so I think it'll be this southwestern one here that we use for this new line. I'm watching you, plus an interesting program on how they're building a new link into and new underground platforms at New York. Yeah, is it the Long Island Railroad? They're extending under the Hudson. Is it the Hudson? Yeah, it must be the Hudson, because the West River is on the west side of New York, hence the name. Did it mainly for my benefit and yours. Yeah, I mean, it's common sense when you think about it, but it's also extremely helpful that that was added. So yeah, massive thanks for that. So yeah, this is Drentbourne, and we're going to be planning out the line down to Plenborough. Now, I don't have the Reddit chat open, so I can't remember exactly what was said by whom and when, but I'm going to assume that it was this southwestern one that we were talking about. I am also going to pin you. For those of you wondering what this is, I'm starting to get the West Winds trains working again. So far I've rerouted one service, which is the GSE to Flame Junction one, and it's in the middle of its testing. I've also wound the clock back. You might have noticed it's now November 1990, so I've had to send all the trains to the depot to get serviced, and then I hope, because it was the year 5000 and something, I think, before I did the winding of the clocks, so I hope they don't then sit there for 3000 odd years. We will see. I'll reset all the late timers if that is the case, because I definitely don't want that to happen. I'm really wasting time here. I said I was on a time limit. So Drentbourne is up here. Plenborough is down here. That's actually a lot closer than I thought. I'm happy with that. So we're going to be building a new line between Plenborough and Drentbourne, and I think it's going to connect. First and foremost, this line's going to get rebuilt so that the slow lines and the fast lines are paired, rather than split like they currently are, which will involve an entire rebuild of this main line, but I'm okay with that, because then we can junction the new line into here, and I think that was the plan. I'm not 100% sure though. I'm sure I'll get corrected if I am wrong. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing for the first part of tonight. So let's start the process, even if we don't finish it. So I think the fast lines are probably going to be on the outside, is what I was going to say, but that might not make much sense. I think the fast lines will actually be on the inside of this bend, like there and there, and then the slow lines, actually maybe the fast lines will be on the outside. Let me check the platforms at Plenborough. It looks like the fast line, actually no, let's not use the waypoints as a reference, because they're all wrong anyway. Let's have a look at the... Oh, they're no help. Plenborough is going to get rebuilt, by the way, because I need to fix... Well, actually, is it going to get rebuilt? I don't think it is. I think the fast lines can come in on the south here, and the slow lines on the north, which means we will rebuild this junction here a little bit as well. So yeah, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to scrap all of this, like so. And then somewhere, just after this road bridge, the fast lines are going to go up and over the top of the slow lines. I think that lines up. Yeah, looks like it does. So this will need to move over by 1. And we'll just do tied arch. Nice and easy. Like that and like that. And then you'll come down. Actually, before you do that, we won't do that as a tied arch. We will in fact build something like this. And then you will go underneath like that. I think that will work. And then these are going to be where the other fast lines come in from. Yeah, I'm actually okay with that. That looks alright to me. So then you will go like this, you will go like that, and then you'll just be concrete mess of a viaduct. Oh yeah, we don't have those available, do we? We'll do suspension then. So all those viaducts that we have built, I guess will just stay, but we can't build new ones because it's only 1990. Don't panic though, we'll get the ability to build them again in the not too distant future, I'm sure. You could be a truss. We'll go nice and boring. And then this side here, let's not do it there actually, let's do it up here. So yeah, apart from George, has anyone else downloaded the OpenTTD maps or just had a look around the website in general? Let me know what you think. No one's commented on any of the social media posts about it, which is a little bit disappointing. You know, I wasn't expecting, you know, instant rave reviews, but it's always nice when you work on something and you publish it for people just to take time out of their busy schedules to say something about it. Even just to acknowledge its existence would be nice, but you can't have everything in life. Okay, I have made a slight problem for myself, I've just noticed, in that, whoops, I'm going to have to dual voltage both fast and slow lines that come from the north, which means I'm probably going to have to dual voltage this entire approach to the station here. And maybe the entire station as well. But again, I'm not too bothered by that. It's a good website. Thank you very much. There will be more added to it in the future. So the big update that I'll add in the not too distant future is the ability for people to upload their own videos and images. So if you make something that you either want to be featured in the M4J network or something you just want to show off, you'll have the ability to do that on my website. So you'll be able to, I don't know exactly how it's going to work yet, but it'll be something along the lines of you upload it as a file, and then that file will appear on a like an image carousel or a slideshow. Kind of like if you go on the downloads page and you see how that's set up, it'll be along those lines. And I've just realized I've signaled this all wrong. Be along those lines at least. And people might be able to upload video clips as well. I don't think it will be with sound though. I think it will play without sound. And obviously it's me trusting you guys to not upload bad things. Because I'm going to operate a zero tolerance policy on that kind of thing. If someone abuses it just once, then it'll get taken down and it won't come back again. Because we're all adults here, so let's try and act like it, shall we? Oh, I thought that was a waypoint. It's not, it's a hedge. That's fine then. Right, so now I want dual voltage, which is there. Dual power as it's called here. So all of this, including these tunnels, these two tracks here as well, up to there, then that track. And then all of this is going to be dual voltage. This entire bit of the station here is going to be dual voltage. up to there, and then all of this is going to be dual voltage, and then at this side of things it's going to be these two tracks here, and this track, this track, this track, and then probably up to there as well. Actually, that's not a crossover. Just noticed. So you are not going to be dual voltage, but this one will be. We have got some rail news as well, because the new month is upon us. So we'll go over that at some point during tonight's stream as well. There isn't a huge amount to talk about this month. Most of the real news stuff has already been mentioned on the channel, but we'll have a look anyway just to see. It's mostly just new stations reopening and boring stuff like that, really. Nothing too major. Alright, you were 15 and you were 11. There we go, and then signal, 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 and signal. 313s have gone from GTR. What, completely? That is news. I was not aware of that. Okay, I think we've electrified everything there. I'm just debating how we're going to do this. So the fast lines are actually on the wrong side at the moment. Particularly for like Grunningbury, the slow line platforms are going to be on the west side, which is not ideal, but it'll do. We're also now going to plan this line. So Plenborough is there, and Drentbourne was up here. So if we go from here straight down like this, and then if we go round the lake this way, through this community here, and I think it's like a straight shot, yeah, pretty much a straight shot south. We'll go round to the west of Warnford, and then we can kind of catch the edge of Slindingstone Bay there, and then into Grunningbury. So I think what we'll do with these electrified tracks here is we'll cut you, and we'll cut you, and we'll make the... So we'll make a... not there, there, a ramp, and then you will go underneath like that. So coming out of Plenborough, it's always going to be a tight turn, because you're basically doing a full 180 if you're heading west. I believe Brighton, not to the extent like this, but Brighton has the East Coast Way and the West Coast Way lines, which kind of curve around like that. Finished on Tuesday. I'm amazed I missed that one, actually. I don't think Jeff uploaded a video on it, so that one went completely over my head. End of an era. It's kind of sad. Obviously, not many people were fans of the 313s by the end, but it's always sad to see an old train go, even if they weren't that popular at the end. Alrighty, out we come. Third rail. So I think here, again, I'll just do trusses for now. Keep it nice and simple. We'll put path signals and stuff in a little bit. So I think we'll build the track first, then we'll build the stations. Oh wait, we'll build the track first, then we'll do the signalling, then we'll build the stations. And also, I don't care about rivers tonight. If it's in the way, it's gone. Just want to get it done and move on. 2, 3, whoops, and 4. 802s are in service on TPE. That was something I was vaguely aware of, so that's good that they're in. They're late, but they're in. That's the main thing. Okay, so from here, it's again pretty much a straight shot north. We'll remove some of this. I think we'll have like a bridge here. If you can hear some voices in the background, by the way, I've got the football on. I've tried to put it on quiet, but it might still be audible to the microphone, so I apologise for that. +2 Mark V sets. Have they had brake issues like the Caledonian Sleeper ones, or have they sort of come in? I've not heard anything, so I'm going to assume they kind of slipped under the radar. I mean, that's a bad thing. That's a really bad thing, and it was so lucky that no major incident happened. But for those of you that don't know, there was a Caledonian Sleeper train that was approaching Edinburgh, and the driver went to apply the brakes, and nothing happened. And the train, I think the dispatcher, one of the signallers, somebody saw the fact that it wasn't slowing down and stopping, and they managed to divert it through the station and out the other side without it causing any incident. But I mean, that's bad. When you introduce a new train like that and then the brakes just don't work, that is bad. So as long if the TPE ones have come in with no problems, then that's a good thing at least. Alright, so I think the slow lines, we are going to rebuild Drentbourne at some point. I'm waiting for some designs to be submitted for this, because this just won't do, in all honesty. So we'll rebuild it. We'll try and keep the same design, like these arches, but I think these 4 tracks here in the middle will become 3. We might even extend the station outwards a little bit more, so we'll have 4 arches. The station itself will be 4 arches wide, and then the 2 freight tracks either side of it. But I'm trying to work out where the fast lines would be and where the slow lines would be. Because essentially, Southeastern trains will come from here, from Gardcity, and then they'll go through Drentbourne. Some will go down to Plenborough, and some will actually head east, and this line goes down to Bar City. So we want that to work as slickly as possible. Not sure if you're aware, but Northern are keeping the 323s and taking West Midlands Railway 323s to replace its 319s. Did not know that. What a waste. Actually, what a waste. They went and took the 319s from Thameslink, and they've not even had them 5 years, and they're already starting to get rid of them. That is a real waste. Even if they do a straight swap with West Midlands Railway, it's just... there's no future proofing, there's no future thinking in these franchises, because the longest franchise I think currently is 8 years, and that's all they care about is 8 years. No one's thinking 9 years, 10 years, 11 years. I think franchises should be awarded for a minimum of 10 years, to be extended to 15 years if things go well, and make them actually care about what happens in 10 years time, because it's an absolute joke at the moment. So many new trains are getting binned because the people who ordered them aren't then the people who received them. It actually makes me angry. We talk about waste in the world, and that there is the worst example. And because a lot of these train orders, it's not the company that pays for them, it's done through bank funding. So the company doesn't care. Their franchise finishes and they're out of there. It's someone else's problem to take care of at that point. Plan is to run 6 coach. Look at Chiltern, 19 years. Virgin, 15 years. Yeah, but those franchises weren't 15 years. The franchise was for 5 years, and then it was extended for 5 years, and then it was extended again for 5 years. What I mean is, say a company wins a franchise now, the minimum tenure would be 10 years. Like, that company has to serve 10 years, unless they go bust, they have to serve 10 years, and then we'll talk about an extension. If they do well, or if it's going really, really badly and they are about to go bust, then we'll talk about terminating it early. But make these people consider what happens in 10 years rather than what happens in 5 years. Otherwise, there's no sustainability. Because even the West Coast now, First and Trenitalia have won that franchise, but they're only operating it for 10 years. So they're not going to be preparing for what happens in 20 years' time. And actually, by the time their franchise runs out, Phase 2 of High Speed 2 won't even be open yet. Is that true? I don't think that's true. That doesn't sound right to me. I'm sure the terms back then were maybe 5 to 8 years. It wasn't necessarily always 5 years. I'm afraid I'm going to have to be one of those people that asks you to name your sources here. I mean, you're a university student now, so you'll be used to it by now. And I'm sure they've already told you Wikipedia is not an acceptable source. Mind you, again, Chiltern are the exception that proved the rule, in my opinion. They've done everything right. They are probably the most popular franchise in the UK. Things have started to go wrong a little bit for them recently, but not to the same extent that some of these other companies have had. As I say, I would appreciate you naming your sources for that. I'm sure there were hidden extensions there. I've not done this very well. I've really not done this very well. Let's try that again, shall we? That's a bit better. "19 years due to end in 2021 because they got 20 years." Right. Where are we going? We're going east of Harningpool, and then east of Renfingford, and then we join up there. Actually, yeah, that works out in terms of slow lines, fast lines. That was a happy coincidence. I nearly swapped them over just now. I'm kind of glad I didn't. We're just going to do this as well, by the way. Apologies to the good citizens of Carfingfield. But that's what you get when you name your city after a different form of transport. Warwickshire News, 20th of August 2000, the day the new franchise was awarded. Link. Sorry to do this, but link, because people get misinformed, particularly the media, when it comes to railways. People get very misinformed. As I'm sure you know. M40 Trains, parent company of Chiltern Railways, has made a 370 million pledge for a new franchise for 20 years. That includes 60 million spent over the last 4 years. Again, not to be pedantic, but that doesn't specifically say that they've won a 20-year franchise. That just says they're committed to the next 20 years. That's different. That's not the same thing. I should say, I mean, I've spent a fair amount of today correcting people on certain things, so I'm kind of in that mood. I was telling the guys earlier, my catchphrase should be "I think you'll find," because that seems to be all I say at the moment. I'm going to do my own research on that. I'll hold my hands up if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the longest franchise was, I think it might have been 15 years. But there's all kinds of messy things that have happened, because Virgin lost the bid in 2012, and then they were awarded extensions to their existing franchise, which have taken it on to where we are now. But a lot of the time, a company will win a franchise for 5 to 8 years, and then 2 years into that franchise, they'll either apply for an extension or they'll get granted one, which will extend it for another 5 years. But it won't really get publicized. So to us, it looks like the franchise was for 10 years, whereas in actuality, it was 2 lots of 5. I think GNER did that back at the beginning before they went bust. There's a lot of that. East Coast apparently is not a lucrative place to run a railway, which is rather unfortunate. But what can you do? Okay, so this is going to be our route through here, and I think we're just going to blammo straight through the middle like this. And yeah, I think we'll just follow the landscape here. As I said, sorry to be pedantic about it, but so often back in the day, I used to get people trying to correct me, and then they couldn't provide the evidence. And the most annoying one is when I've said something and someone's gone, "What's your source?" When it's like my own knowledge. It's like, I remember once in a video I said something that I witnessed myself, and someone said, "What's your source?" And apart from getting really arsy about it and saying my 2 eyeballs, I couldn't really respond to that. It's just such a baffling thing to have to try and prove. Even when you use the words, "I saw this myself," people still say, "Where's your evidence?" We live in a really messed up world now in terms of that. This whole alternate truth thing has just ruined everything. FE investigates, has an article. Sir Martin Lang, chairman of John Lang PLC, has welcomed the announcement by the Shadow Strategic Rail Authority that M40 Trains, a Lang Rail company, has been appointed the preferred bidder for a new 20-year Chiltern Railways franchise. He's also indicated that the investment division, through Lang Rail, will now pursue additional rail opportunities. Like I said, I'm going to do my own reading on it. Now's not the time. Okay, so this line is now built. All we've got to do is signal it. I'm actually going to do it the cheap and easy way, which is I'm going to remove these 2 stations here and here, as well as all of these waypoints. These 4 here. We're probably going to have to rebuild this approach in order to get the waypoints in. This station can act as a waypoint. If the speed limit is 75 and the station speed limit is 35, then we only need 4 waypoints. So 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3 plus station makes 4. Unless we go 1, 2, and then 2 here, in which case we won't need to redo this, and then we can put the fast line waypoints in the gap. That actually works a lot better. I should have just done that. I still can do that, of course, but right, fast line. Guess you forgot to hold control. Done it again. There we go. Good preparation for uni, George. If you're writing reports and stuff like that, I don't know, is it computer science you're studying? Because I don't know how much of report writing like that you would actually do. But it's to do with like how much you can quote, how much from a single article you can use, and also if you write about something as definite fact, you do have to back it up with supporting articles and things like that. Like when I wrote my dissertation, even though I was writing things that I knew were absolute facts to do with YouTube, but because it was a university thesis, I had to actually go and find articles to prove something that I already knew existed, which is a really weird thing to have to do, but it's what they expect from you, so you have to do it. So it's always worth keeping in the back of your mind. It's just my little uni tidbit for today. Something else I've been doing today is advising potential business owners on how to go about things. So it's an interesting thing that we've signed up for with the uni. It's fun. Don't get me wrong, it is fun, but it's very tiring. Very rewarding as well, though. Should point that out. Right, we'll build this station in, and then I did do all the signalling, didn't I? Looks like I did. Yeah, must have done. So we'll start building these stations now, and then we'll move on to the next part of the stream. So this has actually gone a lot faster than I thought it would, which is nice. Let's go bridges, and then you'll just be bare platform, and you will be dispatch cabin. This Saturday is the 20th anniversary of the Paddington Rail disaster. Yes, yeah, I was reading about that earlier. My railway magazine has an article on it. It's actually it's one of those things. Like, the article starts off by saying that it's in no way meant to remind the victims or their families of what happened. But when I was reading the article, some of the things that were going on in the lead up to that accident, I haven't got as far yet as reading about potential prosecutions or anything like that, so I won't say too much on it. But how the hell was it allowed to happen? That's the thing I have to ask. How the hell was it allowed to happen? It's absolutely disgraceful. It's all to do with signals and their visibility, and countless times it was reported that a certain signal was not visible to drivers, and countless times it was ignored. 10 years before the accident happened, it was first reported, and no one did anything about it. And then 1999, massive accident, one of the worst rail accidents in recent history. And then suddenly people went, oh, we should probably do something about this. And thankfully it hasn't happened again since. But just how stupid can people be to let something like that happen? They had warning. They could have done something to prevent it, and they didn't. And those people now have to live with that for the rest of their lives, as well as those who were affected by what happened. So stupid. So stupid. So easily avoidable as well. And it really brings the rail industry under a bad light when things like that happen. And you can tell I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed by it. Was it due to the wires? The way the article's worded that I was reading, it sounded like they moved the green aspect into the L. So it was a backwards L, so it went to the left instead of to the right, and the green aspect was put into the, what do you call it? Like the bottom left corner, essentially. So it was in the L, and I thought it was because the bridge, the road bridge nearby, obscured the driver's vision otherwise. So they moved it into that section so that it was more obvious which line was controlled by which signal. But obviously wasn't obvious enough because the accident happened. But the thing that I really got annoyed by when I was reading it was they approved an upgrade of the track in and around Paddington without first checking that the signalling would work. How bloody stupid is that? They approved an entire rebuild of a station approach without checking that the signals would work. And they didn't, clearly, because there was a major accident that killed 31 people. It could have been both. I think you might be right with the wires though, because it was meant to be a 4-aspect signal, and it ended up being a 3, and then the 1 in the bottom of the L. And it was rewired around about that time, or it was wired around about that time. So I think you might be right with that. Yeah, Carfinfield can have a big station to make up for me obliterating half of it. Yeah, I'm so annoyed by rail accidents that are so easily avoidable, because people die in these things. People die or their lives get changed forever, and it's so avoidable, and it makes the rail industry look more dangerous than it actually is, because it's not rail that's dangerous, and it's not trains that are dangerous, it's the people in charge of them. And it really boils my blood when I read about these things. Because I remember seeing it on TV, like the aftermath, and I was told there's been a crash at Paddington, and my mind immediately went to Paddington Bear, because you're a kid, you don't really think about the adult implications of it. It's only when I got older and I started reading about it a little bit more. I read an article about it, and now I've read this article about it. You just realise how bad these things were. Like how bad the accident was, first and foremost, how many people lost their lives, but then also the events that led to it. And yeah, it's just it's staggering, genuinely staggering. Sorry to bang on about it, by the way. That's not the thing everyone wants to talk about. Yeah, 20 years ago. Bloody hell. If I didn't feel old, I certainly do now. Things like that I barely remember as a kid, and then you realise it's 20 years. Oh, it makes you feel old. Actually, that's the one drawback. If there was any drawback I would say about doing this thing with the uni. For those of you that don't know, XVI, the company I set up with my friends, we do a lot of advisory work. So we go into these networking events essentially where we meet other business owners and we swap numbers and things like that. And a lot of the time it is just that, it's networking. But sometimes they run these special events where they ask graduate students to help mentor students who haven't yet graduated on how to set up and run a business. So we are still relatively new in terms of setting up a business, but we've done enough that we can mentor other groups. So I do a lot of that now. I mentor a lot of people. It's one of the reasons why I mean a lot of my time already was taken up by XVI stuff and trying to get M4J stuff done as well. But that's really filled up my time. I love doing it. Don't get me wrong. I would never not do it, because I was once a student sitting in their seats listening to people like me talking about setting up businesses. That's one of the reasons why I said yes to XVI. But it does make me feel old when I look out and see all those faces and realise that I'm probably, apart from the enterprise team that work there, I'm probably the oldest person in the room. It's a very sobering thought when you realise things like that. But it's good work. It's really good work. There's some really talented people coming through as well, setting up businesses. So there's a lot of exciting stuff to look out for in the future. Right, line done. I'm not going to worry about waypoints and stuff right now. That's for future me to sort out. So anyone got any comments about this before we move on? Was this the kind of thing that you were thinking about, George, when you first pitched the idea? I'll save the game really quickly. I will have to remind myself at one point as well to get the line from Drentbourne towards Gardcity reconnected. There's no trains using it at the moment. There might not be any trains using it for a while. The plan is to running direct express services between Gardcity and Gardcity. I was worried at one point, have we got too many rail connections between the two capitals? And then I remembered that there's 5 ways to get from Edinburgh to Glasgow by train, and now I feel okay about it, because I think we've got 4. One of which is Transrapid, one of which is high speed. What about the line to the southeast? Is this the one? Yeah, this one. Oh, are you talking? I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the one. At least I think you are. All the way along here, is it? So where this line turns inland, you wanted to build another line out this way to... Where was it? It wasn't Plenfing. Was it Plenfing Way? Might have been Plenfing Way. You'll have to remind me of the city. We could plan it now. Oh, it's to Pruntford, wasn't it? Southeast corner. Yeah, we could build a station. It might not go along the coast here. It might loop up and around. Reason being is the East Coast line will be coming in here. And it might not even be at Pruntford, in fact. It might be up here at like Keywood or somewhere a bit more inland. Just so we can build like a big interchange station and then have little branch lines that run out to some of these places. Maybe Worthingbourne. We could build like a through station. So like comes up this way, big station here, and then goes out onto the East Coast, and then also comes down this way. So you could still get a direct service from the west through the station here, and then south to Pruntford. And there might even be direct, like a triangular junction here that connects the East Coast line up as well. We could do something like that. Let's plan that. Actually, let's plan that so I don't forget. So new, rename. Call this the South Coast line. So you're going to go straight through Larhatton Springs. Maybe have a curve from Drentbourne to Plenborough line to the new southeast terminus. We could look into that. The thing we could do with that is some of the trains that run from Brighton to London actually go into Hove first. So they go west to Hove and then they reverse up to London. So we could do something like that. So any trains that run from, say, Sanley to Pruntford would go into Plenborough and then reverse. But we can look at adding a direct connection as well. That's not the worst idea in the world. And I'm just realising, how the frick am I going to do this? Because this hill, I suppose we could go up here and have like a Sedham and Rendington station, and then turn north and go through Overton, Worthingfield, and like go over the ridge of the hills here, and then turn east again. So we go Feston, Fort Chentil. Where is it? Lost it. Oh, there. Worthingbourne, over there. So we can go like straight east from here. Go via Trinningwell, and then via Fatburg. That's going to have to be changed. Floodtown, and then up this way, over here, and then probably through a tunnel here, and then up, and then Worthingbourne station will be built on reclaimed land, like here. That could work, and then we could do another line, which we'll rename the Worthingbourne Triangle, East Triangle. So I think there's a line from Gardcity still that would come down this way to Worthingbourne. So this one will go this way, and then up, down, and then in again. the list has been completed. Nice. You'll have to send me a link to that and allow me to edit it. So if you email it to me and allow me to edit it, because then I can add it, I can embed it into the new website. If you're okay with me doing that, of course. So yeah, currently the East Coast line, yeah, it comes down to here. And then this is the line from Bar City, I think. Yeah, this is the line from Bar City. It goes through Brookside and places like that. I can't hear Brookside without thinking of the soap. Wow, this is going slow. It's funny, me and Alex earlier were talking about RAM, and he said his friend has got 64 gig RAM and how it's overkill. And I said, actually, I could do with 64 gig RAM right about now. So yeah, this line here, it will get extended downwards. I'm not going to add that right now because there's a lot of obstacles here. For example, here it'll have to go like west of these towns. And then, oh, actually, no, it could go. This is going to be the tricky bit. It's going to have to kind of carve through the middle here. And a lot of land is going to have to be dug out here. Although we could like have the law of the world be that the land that was dug out from here then gets put over here to build the station. And then it will go via a peninsula on the east side of Sen Hill and then connect up with the triangle. And then this line will continue down to Pruntford. Which would, this bit will probably be like a 2-track line. So like here the 2 tracks will 2 go this way, 2 will go straight down, and then it will just join up and become 2 tracks. Anyway, let's not just gas on about that because this part of the episode is done. This is all done. Happy with that. So now we're going to do the next bit of today. That's the wrong line, but if we follow this one, this line here eventually is going to get rebuilt as well. Because this is kind of the important line. This is the route that some of the express services between the 2 cities will actually take. So it's going to have to be upgraded significantly. I'm going to zoom in a little bit as well so we're not lagging as much. Oh, it's so much smoother. Look at that. Because the next one we're going to be doing is this line here. This is the used to be the Grand Central line. It's now going to be called the Southeastern Main Line, I think we agreed on. And the first thing we're going to do is reroute it. So you see here it currently curves this way and then runs east past these towns. We're actually going to here make it go across this way and then straight down. So it joins up with Drentbourne. I keep calling it Drentbourne. It's going to join up with Drentbourne just to the east of Wadtown here. So it's almost going to run through this gap here. And then these lines here are going to remain. These stations here are going to remain. But instead of turning to the west up here, it's either going to continue straight on or it's going to turn east. I haven't decided yet. But that's going to be the plan. And we're going to try. How much time have we got left? We've got about an hour, so that's fine. We're going to try and reroute and rebuild as much of this line as possible. So for those of you that don't know, this was built ages ago now in the Majeffries network, and it links Buntbourne up to Drentbourne. And the reason I built it originally was to run Grand Central services, which we might still do. But ultimately, it's also going to get upgraded from 2 tracks to 4, which means some of the stations like this will look a little bit nicer. I think here we will do the conventional fast lines in the middle, slow lines on the outside, just to make life a little bit easier for me. Which will mean some of these stations will have to get rebuilt, but again, I'm not too bothered about that. I'm just doing some prep work here, so don't worry too much about this. There we go. Right. So back over here at Drentbourne, we're going to snip this. So this is currently slow lines. This will all get added back in, by the way. It'll sort of come in from the side over here, maybe with an extra station at Drentbourne North. Drentbourne. I keep calling it Drentbourne. I'm always gonna make that mistake. We're just gonna have to accept it. Yes, it'll be third rail. Whoops. Because the express trains. Oh, I've done dual power. The express trains that use this line will be third rail. So I don't think we'll go as far as using things like javelins, but we'll use things like the 442s. They're a 1980s thing actually, the 442s. It'll probably be Network Southeast livery. Had planned it to be 4-track. I had a feeling you had when you said like upgrade it. I had this kind of thing of okay, upgrade and rebuild are very different things. So yeah, kind of had it tucked away in the back of the brain. I do like it when we're on the same page. Alright, I'm trying to think of a way I can get these lines to go from fast, fast, slow, slow to fast. Sorry, to go from fast, fast, slow, slow to slow, fast, slow, fast. So the fast lines here are in the middle. So I think what we want to do is build something like this. Like this. And like that. Yeah, there's a lot of issues. It's almost like they shouldn't have been brought back in. And I'm a big fan, as I've said, I'm a big fan of train companies reusing old trains. But the 442s had problems with them. They've always had problems with them. And this just feels like a colossal waste of money. Particularly when they've actually scrapped the new trains in favour of these old ones, even though the old ones don't actually work. It just boggles the mind. It just boggles the mind. I cannot believe it. I cannot for the life of me believe that people are this narrow-minded and just short-sighted and all the other bad adjectives I can think of. Alright, we're going to dip underneath instead of go over, mainly so that I can actually line these up correctly, because the I don't actually have OCD, but I do like things to be in order. Also, I don't think OCD is just something you can have. I don't think that's the right terminology. Got to remember as well, the top speed on third rail lines in the UK is 100 miles an hour, so we're not going to be breaking speed limits here. Yeah, causing signals in the opposite direction to go back to red. That's just... At least, I mean, red as the default for that is safety first, at least. It's still not ideal, but it's better than making them green. Plus, they've had issues with the doors. Because they're old slam stock as well, the windows, or they used to be slam stock, they're plug doors now. There was issues with the windows, because there was an incident 3 years ago, I think, with the 442s where someone unfortunately died because they hit their head because they were leaning out the window. They've not had a good rep recently. The sad thing is they're actually quite nice looking units when you catch them in the right light, and they look really nice in the new Southwestern Railway livery. It's just a shame that they're a bit of a heaping pile of steaming mess at the moment. Bad utilisation, that's always the way. They scrapped the 707s in favour of newer trains, but happy to have the 442s. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so they rejected the new 707s. The 707, I don't know where they're going, actually. I don't know whether it's been confirmed yet. They're not getting scrapped though. I think they're just getting relocated. You can't scrap a new train like that. That's just ridiculous. But they replaced them with an order for Aventras, which now look like they're going to be delayed because of the issues with the 345s, the 710s, and the 720s. So it looks like the ones for Southwestern Railways are going to get delayed, which is going to piss a lot of people off. Because especially when not everyone knows that the company had new trains and then turned them down in favour of old ones. And if people did find out about that, I imagine there'd be riots at Waterloo. People on Southwestern and Southern and Southeastern, they've had to struggle with bad trains and bad service for a long time. And I think that'll be the final straw. So who's going to tell them? Who wants to cause anarchy? No home yet. Yeah, I thought I hadn't read anything about it. I wasn't sure if I'd missed something. But yeah, it's just that fad, isn't it? West Midlands as well. Their new Aventras are going to be late. It's just that fad of the Aventra came out and everyone got really excited and all the new companies went like, oh yeah, we're going to have one of them. And then they just didn't bother testing it before they went ahead into production. I don't recall there ever being a prototype Aventra. The 345s, the operating software is based on the Electrostars, which is why they didn't have too many teething problems when they were brought in. They had a few, but not too many, and it was very easily rectified. Because every Electrostar, every variation had some teething problems when they were introduced, and you do expect that. But the Aventra, not tested. At no point did they build a prototype and actually test it. They might have put some new software in an Electrostar and used that as a test bed, but they never built a prototype. And then, would you believe it? There were problems. And these aren't just small problems, these are huge problems. The control software that manages the entire train control management system doesn't work. And they've installed update after update after update, and it still doesn't work. And that's bad. It's really bad. It's like buying a car and then finding out it doesn't work. Like the engine doesn't work, or the electrics have all been miswired. You wouldn't trust the car anymore. And so many companies have ordered Adventures. TfL did for Crossrail and for London Overground. Southwestern Railways did. West Midlands Railways did. Greater Anglia did. And C2C have all ordered these new trains. And they don't bloody work. And they've signed commitments as well. These trains have to be delivered by 2022 at the latest. And by the looks of things, some of them won't even enter production until late 2021. So I don't know how they're going to get the orders done in time. It's a colossal cock-up. Companies just don't build prototypes anymore. For a long time now. They might end up at Southeastern. I think it would be a good idea to keep them on third rail, because that's what they were designed for. They have been passed to work with pantographs, but I can see there being more problems trying to introduce them. And also, where would they go? That's the question. Great Northern don't need them because they've got the 700s and the 717s. I forgot bloody numbers then. That's good. Greater Anglia don't need them because they've got Aventras. It's just it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. This station's going to get moved, by the way, to outer platforms. And we will actually cut this back. Try and get a slightly wider turn radius on this bit of the track. I feel like I should say I don't mean to rant when these things come up. It's more a case of I watch the news a lot and I see all these news articles about people have just had enough with the railways, and it fuels the fire. Those people who do remember the 1970s and 80s and this supposed glory time that the country was apparently in, even though it really wasn't. they use it as fuel for the debate of renationalising the railways, and it's misleading people. We've always had problems with the railways, we always will have problems with the railways, but those who use it for political gain, they're the people in the wrong. And that's why I speak so passionately against that, because a lot of the time people are misinformed, and because they're misinformed they might make a wrong decision. And it's no one's fault necessarily. You are supposed to educate yourself before making big decisions, which not everyone does, but I make a big deal out of it because it is a big deal. These are long-lasting issues, and I say that franchises only care about the next 5 to 10 years, whereas if High Speed 2 gets cancelled, it could affect the British economy for the rest of my life. That's the thing, and it could affect it for the rest of your lives too. And it's a really depressing thought. So I kind of try and do my bit. Problem here, of course, is I'm talking to a bunch of rail enthusiasts about rail issues, so no message really is getting out there. But I'm very big on the idea of correcting misconceptions, and that's why my catchphrase is "I think you'll find," because it really is just me saying to people that's not actually, like, that thing you think, it's not actually true. Just realised I thought I had the Arsenal game coming on BT, and it's not. It's Man United again, because it repeats for some reason. Let me just get that sorted, and then we'll get back to talking about railways. What an era. Closing lines, right, left and centre, declining numbers are all things they forget. Yep, the company was bankrupt. Hang on, let me read these in order. So who made the decision not to have a prototype? BR used to always build prototypes. That was the one good thing that they did, was they hired companies to build prototypes to prove that their locomotive or wagon or carriage, whatever it might be, to prove that it actually worked. And that's smart. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to prove that these things work, otherwise you're not going to get any orders for them. And even locos that were proved to have worked either were too expensive, or there were other factors involved that meant that BR might have ended up not purchasing them. And there was a lot of sensibleness in BR. I always talk down about it, and I say renationalising the railways is a bad idea, and I still do believe that still. But there was a lot of good. There's a lot of diamonds in the rough, let's say. And some people genuinely cared in that company. And one of the things I always liked was you watch videos of the end of Steam, and I was wondering what that error message was then. You watch videos of the end of Steam, and drivers were so proud of their locomotives, even though no one in the workshop was washing them, no one in the workshop was keeping them in good order. You always saw a locomotive driver taking care of his engine. Those days are gone. These days someone gets in a train, they drive it from A to B. They don't particularly care about it, but that's fine, that's modern. So yeah, the decision to not make a prototype is dumb. Even Viva Rail are making prototypes of their D-train to prove that it works. Because if you can't prove it works, then you can't prove why people should spend money to buy it from you. Southern is apparently getting battery-fitted Electrostars to replace Class 171s. I guess that means that they're standardising their stock, which is, you know, I mean, Turbo Stars are standardised compared to Electrostars, but actually having, because the battery-powered ones would be able to run on conventional rails as well. Sorry, I mean, that's not what I meant to say at all. I mean, they can get their power through conventional means, so they'll be able to pick up electric. What am I saying? They'll be able to pick up electricity from the third rail, is what I'm trying to say. So they can run as third rail powered trains, or they can charge the batteries that way, and then when they get off the third rail, they can run as conventional battery trains. That's smart. That's very smart to have your train do that. So I'm in favour of that. Plus, Turbo Stars and Electrostars aren't that different, operationally speaking, so the drivers will be vaguely familiar with them. And yeah, it means you can spread your fleet out across your entire network. I'm forgetting all the words today. Yeah, BR in the 80s was terrible. It was going bankrupt. It was losing, I think, billions of pounds a year at one point. Passengers were complaining, trains were late. It was constantly being mocked in the media. BR this and BR that. Comedy films being made, sort of exploiting how bad things were. It's terrible. And yet people want to go back to that. I just don't get it. Even the 60s was terrible because of beaching. It's just, yeah. If people open their eyes, we're in the best time for railways right now. We're one of the world leaders in terms of rail, high speed and conventional. We've got hydrogen powered trains about to become full production versions. No country has full production hydrogen. Germany have started introducing hydrogen powered trains, but not full production lines of hydrogen powered trains. They kind of run on back end branch lines and things like that. Plus we've got companies like Viva Rail who are pioneering all forms of power, not just hydrogen or electric or diesel, but hybrid. The whole bi-mode thing, I'm getting a bit tired of it, but at the same time it is a valuable asset to have, is bi-mode trains, because they can run anywhere. So long as the battery doesn't run out or the diesel fuel tank doesn't empty, it can pretty much run anywhere. I don't know about high speed 2. Some days I read about it and it looks like it's definitely going to happen, and then the next day I read about it and there's talk about it, parts of it being cancelled or delayed or moved. So I don't know. I just don't know. I hope it doesn't get cancelled, but you never know. Actually, I thought it was just in London that they've started doing prep work, but up in Birmingham, Curzon Street, they've started doing prep work there as well. So a lot of jobs have been created already for people who are trying to start working on the project, and it's still not clear yet whether the project will go ahead. So there's a lot of people's jobs riding on this. So I do think it'll be incredibly unfair if they cancel it now, because it's hundreds if not thousands of jobs. I didn't know you had a catchphrase. Yes, brother, I do have a catchphrase. It's something that, I mean, I have a lot of catchphrases. My website, if you go on the homepage of my website, you'll see one of my catchphrases right on the screen. Hey guys, M4J here. And I get mocked mercilessly in the XVI chat for saying that. To the point now where I can't edit videos while I'm on Discord with the guys, because as soon as they hear my intro, they will just burst out laughing. It's fun. It's all in good jest. No one's, completely taking the piss or anything. But apparently that's my catchphrase, and to the extent that it's being incorporated into XVI stuff as well, which I can't say too much about, unfortunately, at this moment. But trust me, when I can say it, you'll realise it anyway. Oop, did not mean to hold control there. That was close. Very nearly did the wrong thing. Are we nearly at Denston yet? Someone said if BR had the right amount of money, it would have been a world-class railway. I can agree with that. Things like the APT project, the reason that got cut back was because of budgetary constraints, and then they kind of half-assed it, which is why the first version of the APT was a failure, and then the second version, by the time that came in, oh, missed a goal. By the time the new version of the APT came in, it was pretty much outdated because it had been succeeded by other technology around the world, and then they sold that technology to, was it directly to Alstom? It might have been to another company that was then bought by Alstom. But the Pendolinos use APT technology, and I don't just mean someone looked at that one day and went, I'll build one of those. Literally, the technology was sold to a rival company that then built the prototypes and then the first production units of Pendolinos. That's how dumb we are. We had awesome train technology and we sold it to the bloody Italians. And credit to the bloody Italians, they've made the most of it. Pendolino was a genius piece of design, and it revolutionised the railways, believe it or not. Suddenly having a train that can go 125 miles an hour on the west coast reduced journey times between London and Birmingham significantly, and London and Glasgow. 171s are going to East Midland Railways. Everything's going to East Midlands Railways at the moment, or West Midland Railways. They're run to Uckfield battery units. Yeah, so it's a direct substitution. West Coast getting bi-modes to cut carbon. Bull. Absolute bull. If you want to cut carbon, go full electric. Electrify everything. Cut carbon that way. Go for clean energy, so solar power, wind power, water power. That's the only way you're going to cut your carbon emissions. Anything else, and you're half-arsing it, I'm afraid. Latest news is that the benefits are to 70 destinations. The alternatives do not exist. 9,000 jobs. Yeah, it's all about the economy, High Speed 2. It's about strengthening the economy. And a lot of people that want it cancelled for genuine environmental concerns. And I respect that. But you have to sometimes concede that fact and say that the economic benefits outweigh the environmental concerns. Because the big concern is that it cuts straight through the middle of the Chilterns. Yes, we all know that. But it will reduce journey times between London and Birmingham to begin with, and then it will go on to reduce journey times between London and other major cities in the UK. All of the areas around the Chilterns that will be affected, they have consulted with conservationists to make sure that it is affected as little as possible, which is better than nothing. And again, I will admit, genuine environmental concerns towards High Speed 2, and I am one of those people that care for the environment. I don't want to see things just torn up for no reason. But it's too good an opportunity to miss. High Speed 2 is such a good opportunity. It's a once in a generation opportunity, and we have to grab it with both hands, because if we lose it now, we'll never have that opportunity again to build it. And all those jobs, the journey times, the fact that the West Coast is pretty much dead now. It's so overloaded, you can't add any new trains to it, which is what people want. I've always said the people that complain about High Speed 2 and it's a white elephant, it costs too much, it will damage the environment. These are the same people that then bang on about the West Coast and why is my train late? Why are there too many trains running on this route? Got to do something about the capacity. Yeah, we're doing it. We're building a new railway. Let us. Could you shorten the fast lines here so only the slow lines go into the town? Where was that, Frank? Maybe we could do that. Are you talking about here? At Hinham? So like have the actually yeah, we have the fast line like cut across and join up again there. And then the slow line will just go up into the town and out again. That's not a bad idea. Pendolinos are my favourite trains. Electrify or use battery where you can't or is not viable. Use hydrogen. Use hydrogen. It's so simple. Okay, it costs a lot of energy to convert water into hydrogen. But if you can get a hydrogen powered vehicle, that also is revolutionary. The other option, which we can't fully utilize, let me say it that way, but the other option is solar. And the Australians have started developing solar trains. And they are, so far, working really, really well. You do need a lot of sun for it to work, because you don't want to get stranded in the middle of the line. But electric and hydrogen are the two best ways. And the absolute best way is a bi-mode of electric and hydrogen. So it can run off conventional wires or third rail, and then when it travels off of that line, it can switch to hydrogen power seamlessly. Because ultimately, what you do is you run all power through a battery. Even if it comes from wires, you run it through a battery. And then, if you connect that battery to another energy source, you can generate additional power to go alongside what you've already got. I'm trying to think of a good example of that. It's kind of like if you have a mobile phone and you have one of these new charger cases that you can put your phone in. You know, when you plug your phone into charge, you don't actually charge the phone directly. You charge the case that then charges the phone. That's what you want to do with railways as well, and locomotives and multiple units, trains in general. You want to power the battery that then powers the train. Okay, I think that's a good place for the fast lines to come in. There we go. Okay, so we're going to hook this up. Just realised I went very quiet then. Went into concentration mode. And then we'll hook this up. We could at some point build another line that comes off this way. Maybe extends upwards. I won't worry about that right now. And then over here, I've actually painted myself into a corner here. Oh no, we can fix this. So what we'll do here is, instead of this method, we'll just have the slow lines come down like this. Bloody hell, Arsenal 3-0 up already. So you're going to be slow line now. And then we will we'll cut this back one. Let's do this first. Like so. But we will also have two slow lines come down, one to there, and then here it will slope up. Let's remove that for a second. Wait, what am I trying to do? Yeah, no, that's fine. I got confused then. So yeah, you'll come through. For God's sake, what am I doing? Right, you'll go through and up, and then you will go underneath, and you'll connect up like that, and then this will bridge over the top. Okay, and then we'll do that. So now you go straight up and connect to that, you go straight up and connect to that. Let's not have this as a stone viaduct, let's have this as a truss bridge. Could the 458s from Southwestern Railway go to Southern after they are replaced by the 701s? Possibly. 458s, they're Desiros, aren't they? They're not Electrostars. They could probably go to Southeastern. I think it'll cost a lot of money to convert. Even if it's designed for it. All electric trains in the UK are designed to be compatible with third rail or overhead wiring. Standardized designs like the Electrostar, it's very easy because the pantograph recess is already in the roof of most Electrostars. particularly the third rail ones. Obviously, the pantograph ones already have a pantograph, so you just have to add the pantograph. You know, it's designed for it. It's easy to do it. Some of the other ones, so if you've got a third rail electrical multiple unit that's only ever worked as a third rail electrical multiple unit, it's a lot more tricky. Particularly if they work in multiple as well. It's something I was reading about TransPennine Express, not the Nova 1s or the 2s, but the Nova 3s, and I can't remember their designation off the top of my head. But they have to go through specific testing at the moment to make sure that they can run at 125 miles an hour with both pantographs up, because of signal oscillation and things like that. And it's something you don't really think about at the time. You know, there's genuine running at high speed with both pantographs up genuinely upsets the balance of the train. So they've designed specific software that pushes the second pantograph of the train up higher than the first one, so that it makes up for the slack in the wires. It's really clever when you read about it. I don't know if there's an online version of it. It was in my railway magazine last month. They talked briefly about it, but it's something that I hadn't really considered. So if you work trains in multiple like that, you do have to factor in the fact that you know, it's not just a cut and dry thing of, oh, we'll run with both pantographs. Sometimes you have to like compromise a little bit. Right, this whole station now, Denston, can be third rail powered. I'm converting it to third rail, yeah. Got me worried then. Alright. And then this line here as well, and this line here as well. Good. So I think the direct trains from Gardcity will actually come from this line here, which means this will probably have to be double tracked. Either that, or actually no, it might come from this way actually, and stop at Denninghead and things like that, and then it will run through Denston. It will stop at Denston because it's a major station. And then it will run onto this east section here and onwards. This section here we are going to upgrade. We've got time still, so that's good. Just checking some stuff. Okay. So yeah, we'll get on to upgrading this in a second. Before we do that, I just want to electrify all of this. So I think, yeah, that wasn't upgraded. And then all of this. And then all of this. All of this. We'll re-signal it all as well. We'll take apart all the stations that are currently existing and rebuild them, including this one here. I kind of like the idea of the staggered platform still, because fast trains are going to stop here as well as slow trains. And this will be a switch place, so it'll be where trains move from the fast lines to the slow lines, and vice versa. So we are going to rebuild this station to match that. I just want to focus on electrifying all of this first, then we'll remove the stations, then we'll remove the signals, and then we'll basically rehash and completely start again. So I think this bit has already been done by the looks of it. Yeah, it has. Good stuff. Right. Now let's remove the stations. So these ones didn't exist to begin with, so that's fine. You, gone, gone. We'll remove all of this for now, and in fact what we'll also do is remove all of this and rebuild it. There we go. That and that, that one can stay. Actually no, I will get rid of that one. And that's the end. Now to do the re-signaling, so we'll get rid of all those, we'll get rid of these. Like so, and whoops. So So I think the junction, I was going to build the junction down here somewhere, but I think I'll actually build it closer to here, because then this line here can be part of the junction that switches from slow to fast. So I'll build like a couple of crossovers that go from the slow lines to the fast lines, but I won't build the one that goes from the fast to the slow, because that's what this section here is for. HSTs are set to go from LNER from mid-December. I'm hoping cross-country take it. HSTs, there are plenty to choose from. There are so many. The University of Birmingham, I believe, have taken on an HST. It's always an when there's an H, for those of you who didn't know. They've taken on an HST, and they're going to be using it as a mobile test facility for bi-mode traction and I think hydrogen power was mentioned, and battery operation and things like that. So I think that's a pretty cool idea. Why not actually use a train? So it means an HST remains in service, even if it's as a test bed. And then it also means that new train technologies get tested, which I'm always massively in favour of. But I think you're also right. Cross country should get some, if not all. There's nothing wrong with the HSTs. It's just the stigma of them being old that is putting people off. Ignore that, and you'll see that there's nothing wrong with them. You can refurbish one of them, put it back in service, and people genuinely wouldn't know that it's an old train. It's only when you tell them that they then wrinkle their noses up and go, ugh, old. Apart from that, they would never know. I completely whiffed this signal set up here, by the way. There we go. Now I'll come all the way over here to do this, and then I've got to do, so here I think we're going to go to 13 for these, so it'll be, whoops, U and U, and then that and that. There we go. And then also one there and one there. And you. And you. I think that's all in order, and then we'll do the crossovers here as well. Actually, I might just go straight across and not mess around. Yeah, I think I'll just go straight across and not mess around. Make life a little bit easier. Actually, I'll build it a little ways closer. Maybe like this. Maybe like that. I think I'm quite happy with that. And then we'll make you a path signal and you a path signal. Because what we then got to do is stop trains coming down here onto the fast line and then crossing over. So I think if we... Oh, actually, hang on. The easiest way to do that is with waypoints. So we'll leave a little bit of space for some waypoints, and then I will add that. Okay, let me save so I don't lose what I've done. I really hope that I've fixed the problem with the money in this game. I really hope I have, because I just want to leave the game running and get some timetables done. Hopefully the game doesn't crash, and hopefully we don't lose all the money. It's kind of cheating what I've done, but as I read somewhere, I had inflation turned on for so long that I think the inflation values rose so high. And the other thing is, station tiles, even if you turn off infrastructure costs, station tiles still cost you a certain amount a year. So that's one of the things that I've turned right down. So I've not turned it off, but I've made it 1/64th of its current cost. So I'm still going to be paying an amount. I've done that as a test. If I'm making more money than I'm losing now, then I'll tweak the numbers a little bit to try and make it a bit more fair. But particularly if people are downloading this game and trying to play it for themselves, I want it to be playable, and it currently isn't. Upgrade them. HSTs are made. Yeah, refurb them. Refurb them, put them back into service with Cross Country, and stop whining and moaning. This isn't directed at you, by the way, George. This is the general public. Stop whining and moaning about their being old and should be retired, blah, 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 because you genuinely are not smart enough and knowledgeable enough in the industry to tell the difference if you're just a general rail commuter. Stop whining about old trains and just appreciate what you've got. These people, eh? What's that phrase? You don't know what you've got till it's gone. More and more often now that rings true. Okay, so this is going to be one platform. And then platform, the second is going to be over here somewhere. And then let's say this goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there, level with that road. It's going to be that one. This one's going to be level with it. I think we're going to do something like this. And something like this. And then you're going to go there and there. I think those are going to do that. So the junction in the middle here is a little bit messy, but it kind of makes sense. And hopefully you'll see what I mean in a second. Also, they're facing the wrong way. And then it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You there. And then you'll just go straight up like this. And this one will just go straight out like that. And this should be able to accommodate trains in all directions now, leaving and arriving. Locomotive services based at Crewe are having 3 HST power cars plus 1 set of coaches for charter use. So that's another good use for them. They need capacity. HSTs ironically have more seats than a Voyager. Well, yeah, they're longer. That's why. One reason why Voyagers are hated are apparently because they're tilting, and because of that they're narrow to fit in gauge. Also true. However, that means less space for seats. You never miss the water. Never miss the water till it's gone. Is that actually, that might be the origin of the saying, and then it's just slowly being transmorphed into you don't know what you've got till it's gone. I could believe that. What else am I going to do here? Oh yeah, I'm going to make another crossover here for fast to slow. So pretty much all trains that come through here are going to stop at this station. So we're not bothered too much about trains going straight through. Yeah, I think this is fine. So let's go right the way down here to Drentbourne. I actually think we're not going to have much time to do the rest of this line, you know. We might have to save it till next week. This was always going to be a two-parter, so I think we'll save that for next week. I don't want to be sitting here tapping my watch, by the way, but kind of want to be honest about it now if we are going to struggle to fit it all in. Let's make this bigger. Let's go benches and this, and then some. Actually, we don't need 6 long, do we? Just need 5. There we go. Then the waypoints for the fast line will probably sit there anyway, and that'll become through. Let's go with some of these now for this one. And we'll do that, and we'll just have a normal platform here. And then we'll have shelters of some description. Yeah, use HSTs for what they're meant for. I think we'll have HSTs run on this route as well, linking the east coast to the west coast. It is a big project, because next week what we were going to do was upgrade the line between Drentbourne and Gardcity, because I think it's time we started running actual trains between Gardcity and Gardcity. Again, I'm not sure how that will work with the order limit that we've got at the moment. We might have to botch it a little bit to make it work. Lugnuts, actually, the guy who helped me or answered my question for me last week, is now a subscriber. I wasn't sure whether he was going to join us or not tonight, and it doesn't look like he has. But I kind of want to keep in touch with him about this problem, because if we raise it as an issue, all of us M4J and viewers raise it as an issue. We've also got someone there who's knowledgeable on it. We might be able to get it sorted a little bit faster, one way or another. I think it's definitely worth it. To have trains run between the two big cities was always one of the major goals for this series. So the fact that we're so close to it happening is a good thing. As far as I'm concerned, nothing wrong with that at all. One, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6. Where are we? There we are. So yeah, next week we'll upgrade the route between Gardcity and Drentbourne. Or we'll start to do it, might not finish it. We'll also try and do the link between Kingston and Buntbourne. I'm trying to remember how long that line is. And then we might even, if we have time, start looking at planning out new services. We won't necessarily be able to add them. I try and add trains off camera because it is a very long, tedious task. But we'll plan them out, because I feel like, particularly with George here, George planned out a lot of services for this Southeastern franchise, which has now been split between Southeastern and Gardcity Southeastern. So having you guys here to help me plan it is important. Believe it or not, it took me 10 minutes to plan the idea. Sometimes the best ideas come to you like that. It's amazing. It really is. It's like, I can't give too much away because it's kind of under an NDA at the moment. But there's a game that I came up with for XVI where it literally came from an argument. Me and Dylan were talking about an idea that he had, and I kept saying, you know, all it is an RPG. All it is people with big swords swinging them around, killing enemies. And he said, well, go on, then you come up with something that doesn't involve that. And from that argument, I've come up with an idea for a game that I think it's 5th in line in terms of scale at the moment for when it'll actually be released. So it's a long way off, but I'll keep you guys notified on it. But that whole thing came from an argument, and it's one of the things that makes XVI work is we do challenge each other considerably when it comes to ideas. We don't just sit there and go, yeah, that's a really cool idea. We actually push the person who's come up with it to make it more, what's the word I'm looking for? Put a bit more energy into it, a bit more effort into it, a bit more thought into it, and really stretch it to its limits and see if it still works as an idea. And if it doesn't, then it'll either get adapted into something else or it'll get scrapped entirely. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you can put an idea away for a few years and then one day it will resurface and things just click and it works. Sometimes you'll have an idea that just doesn't work for whatever reason, and it's best to find those out as quickly as possible. How far away are we from Drentbourne? Pretty close still. I'm just wondering if there's a potential for... I suppose there isn't because it's over here. I was about to say if there's potential for crossovers or anything, but I think we're okay. Actually, the game that XVI is working on now spawned from creative block, struggling to come up with ideas for the game that we were working on at the time, and we just decided to mess around with ideas and practice art techniques and things like that, and we came up with an idea for a game that we're now pursuing. And hopefully, I've been telling people for the last God knows how long that we'll have a demo out for it this month, so definitely keep an eye out for that, because that is going to be XVI's first ever release. I will try, because at the moment, even though I built both the XVI and M4J websites, I've done my best to kind of keep them separate from one another. But I am tempted to merge, not merge them, that's not the right word. I'm tempted to do some cross-links between them. So like somewhere on the XVI site there'll be a link that takes you to the M4J site, and then somewhere on the M4J site there'll be a link that takes you to the XVI site. Care to share, George? Or is it secret? What am I doing here? Let's build some stairs. There and there. Actually no, let's do them this way round. Stairs there and stairs there. Get rid of these ones, and then if we do stairs there and here, then the station building for Wanborough can kind of fill this gap and make it look like there's a concourse built under this. That'll look cool if it works. Let's do this, and then that, and then we'll build the shelter here. Then we'll do that, and I think we'll just have a barren platform there. And then this side it will go sign, benches, and then these. Yeah, I think that looks alright. It's a bit nondescript right now. It's like a subtle design. Alright, I'll allow the message. It's a bit out there. Yeah, it's a subtle design, but I think it'll be really functional. Ha. Yeah, I have a few. Well, we all have a few nicknames with XVI. Mine's McJeffries, because when I used to be Mad Jeffries, I think Kurt or Alex, someone misheard it, started calling me McJeffries, and it kind of stuck. So that's my name now. And no amount of begging and pleading apparently leads to that being changed. These ones, I think. So I think this station I'm actually going to build a bridge, road bridge going over the top here. Oh, that's not right at all, is it, Mark? Got to hold control when you do things like this. And then we'll have ticket machines. And then we'll have probably just some shelters. So it's gonna be a 4-tile long station. I think the trains are actually going to be 4 tiles long. The majority of them on this line anyway. I was debating because we're technically in the late 80s, early 90s is the time period, and the trains will go right back to the 50s, 60s. And I know that there were push-pull locomotive units on third rail, like the Class 73s did a lot of that. So we might look at doing something like that for this route. Homework grass came about after someone in the lesson asked for homework, and one of my friends went mental over it, so we call him homework. Sent the person who complained gifs and memes of homework, like don't forget your homework. Who calls it homework at uni? It's not homework. It's after work. It's just work, really. That's the proper term for it. Believe me, it kicks you in the gut if you're not paying attention. That's what happened to me in my maths lectures. Was I sort of zoned out for a little bit, and then suddenly when I've zoned back in, the board's full of equations, and I'm being told to turn to page 60, and then do that for the work for the next tutorial. And then the fact that I then switched to media not long afterwards, you can kind of work out how that worked out for me. It's good though. It's good that you got a nice little circle of friends there. Uni mates are the ones everyone says, like, oh, those you went to school with you'll always be friends with, and that is absolute bull. Not at all. Those who you go to uni with, however, you're old enough and you're wise enough that you know who your friends are, and you don't hang around with those people because you've been forced to hang around with them like you have at school. You actually stick around those people because you want to stick around with them. That's when you know you've got a good bunch of friends. Let's do this. I think that's the last station, is it not? Yes, it is. Alright, how are we doing for time? Almost exactly 9 PM, so that's awesome. We got time for any more questions, comments, concerns, ideas. I talk to no one. Literally, primary and secondary school, I don't talk to anyone from there anymore. The day I left secondary school, so I did 1 year of sixth form at my secondary school, and then I left that to do an engineering diploma at college. The day I left that school was the final time I spoke to most of those people. And even then, by the end of my first year of college, I didn't talk to anyone from my school. And then when I left college to go to uni, I actually left college with some of my friends to go to the same uni. But then for various reasons, we lost contact. Some dropped out of uni, some moved to different courses. And I don't talk to anyone I went to college with either, which is unfortunate. But those who I went to uni with, I still talk to Dylan almost daily. I talk to Kurt literally every day. And I've met loads of new people through XVI, who I now talk to fairly regularly. So I'd say I've come out of it alright, to be honest. And I hope those who I went to school with are having a successful life. But I don't really miss it, if that makes sense. Don't really miss it. Alright, I'm just looking to see if I have done all this junction here correctly. So the idea would be a train comes in, and whichever one of these platforms it goes into, or hang on, let me try that again. If a train comes in from the north on the slow line, it needs to be able to leave on the slow line heading north again. So the way it would do that here, I think, is to cross over here, through here, into this platform, and then from here it would reverse over into that fast line and then across into that slow line. So this is going to be a bit of a hodgepodge of trains. There might be a bit of a queue at times, but we'll try and make it so that there's only like 1 or 2 terminating services here at Wanborough. The rest of them will go straight through, at least down to Drentbourne, or if they're heading north, they'll head up to at least Denston. because they're more catered for it. But yeah, like I said, any more questions or comments or anything like that? If not, we will wrap up the stream. It's been a really good one this week. Bit quiet in the chat at times, but I'm really not going to nitpick that. As I said a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to start appreciating who I have got watching a little bit more, rather than languishing over who I haven't got watching, because it's not a healthy mindset, let's be honest. So yeah, we'll start wrapping up, and I think I'm going to go play me some Siege. Oh, you've put the stations in alphabetical order as well. That was the other thing I was going to say. Thank you for doing that as well. That's a massive help. Ah, okay. This is something I can change afterwards, I suppose. Things like Bruston's Scrapyard. Scrapyard will eventually get dropped from the name, so we will. I might keep the BSY though, but just rename the station as Bruston. So that's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. I like some of them, like Echo Junction, Indigo Junction. I like those ones. Bedge and Bidge. Can I get a single to Bedge? I can imagine someone saying that. Beffingway is on here. Good. I was about to point that out. Then I found it. It would help if I looked for it before I started saying this is missing, that's missing. I like it. Really good job. Yeah, I want more streams like this. I want more streams that are sort of 2 hours long, to the point, not really messing about, get some stuff done, have a good chat with you guys, try not to rant too much. That's something I am trying to work on. And come up with really good ideas for this network, because this network is built by you, for you, essentially. I come up with some ideas, but a lot of it is viewer inspired. So the other thing I will be doing, I'll be moving it off Reddit, and I'll be starting to put it more on my website. There'll be an ideas page. Instead of a Reddit post, there'll be an official ideas page where you can go on and leave suggestions. Excuse me. Leave suggestions for future episodes of the M4J network, as well as other series on the channel. And I do remember saying a couple of weeks ago that I can't force people to watch my my other series if it's not their thing. And I still stand by that, don't get me wrong. But one thing I will say for that is, the question I always have for people is, do you watch a video because of the creator or because of the game? Sometimes I watch videos because I just want to watch videos of that game. But in doing that, I wanted to watch someone play Railroad Tycoon, and I found Quill. And because I found Quill, I started looking at other games that he was playing, and I found Kerbal Space Program. And then I found RimWorld, and then I found Factorio. And those were games that I didn't even know existed until I saw him playing them. And then as soon as I saw him playing them, I went, I'd like to give that a go, and I went and bought it for myself. So sometimes it's a good idea to watch other videos of a channel, because you will find some really good games that you weren't aware of. And it might not look like it to begin with. Even things like Hearts of Iron 4, I've started watching some series on that. It's a game that some of the XVI guys play a lot of. I'm not at the stage yet where I want to buy it and play it for myself, but there are some games that I just want to watch other people play. And that's kind of the goal for my channel now, is to get people who watch me play OpenTTD and start introducing them to games like Factorio, because they are very different in terms of what you do, but in terms of the core mechanics of the game, they are very, very similar. So if you like one, chances are you'll like the other. There are some big differences as well, like football content. I understand if someone who watches, like Zachary came into my FIFA stream the other day and was asking, what's the deal? Why do people like football so much? And I get that. I do get that. But as I said to him, I like football the same way that he might like railways. And truth of the matter is, my main interest isn't railways or football. My main interest is theme parks. And I'm very big on the theme park industry. I know a lot about it, and I don't really get the chance to talk about it very often. But my Planet Coaster series is a perfect example of a good forum to do that. So Global Ventures, if you've not watched it, is a theme park I designed 15 years ago, I think. I think I was like 11, 12 when I first started coming up with ideas. It was around about the time Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 came out, so that was 2004, I think. So it was about 15 years ago. And I started a series on it called Somerset Hills International, and it didn't work out. The game limitations meant it was almost impossible. But then Planet Coaster came out, and I reboosted the idea, and it's coming along really, really nicely. And that's where I really shine when I'm in that game, because I'm talking a lot about my main interest. Then I come and do OpenTTD, and it's my secondary interest, is transport. And, you know, Cities in Motion and OpenTTD, you can kind of tell that I know a lot about it, but it's not my main interest. But then when I play Football Manager or when I play FIFA, I come alive again, because football is something I'm really passionate about and very knowledgeable about. And a lot of people just look at it as 22 idiots running around a pitch after a spherical object, but there's if you really break it down, there's so many little tactical things that you can do in football that you can't do anywhere else, and it's just about finding those little hidden things, and that's where I get my interest from. But yeah, where I was going with this was, don't be afraid to watch some of my other series, because there might be something there that you really enjoy watching. And I'm not expecting people to rush out and buy a game because they've seen me play it on the channel, but it's nice to know that people watch your channel because of you rather than just the game that you're playing. That's one of the biggest compliments you can pay to a content creator. I do understand why people don't like football. It's kind of, you get these feelings of satisfaction in life. Sometimes I like to just watch something that's not in my hands, that I have no control over, and football is one of those things. It doesn't matter how loud I shout when I watch Steamage play, I'm not going to make them score. They make themselves score, and I'm just there to enjoy it. Sometimes it's nice to just take your foot off the gas and let life run its course for a little bit. I was actually triggered when I saw the theme park buildings for City Skylines, because they're not realistic. And that's another thing I'm known for in XVI, is I like things to be realistic. And that's always, when we're talking about game concepts, I think that's the line I utter the most, is that's not realistic. And I think, again, that's become a little catchphrase of mine. But yeah, it's after 9, guys, so I am going to start wrapping things up. Thank you very much for coming in. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, George. Thank you, Frank, for coming in and chatting. It really does make a difference, and I do appreciate George and Frank coming out every single week to watch these streams. As I said, it's nice to have new faces and it's nice to get new subscribers, but it's always very good to see people who've been around for a long time and they keep coming back to watch the content, because it means you're doing something right. So we are getting close to 1,000 subs. We're 13 off, I think, at the time of me saying this, and it will happen. That's the thing, it will happen. I will one day find the right mix of things to say on Reddit and other places that gets the channel noticed. But right now, I'm all about those who are still here watching, so a huge thank you. Those of you who are new to the channel for whatever reason, or those of you who are watching this on playback, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series. Again, it's always appreciated, helps the channel out as well. Besides that, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you guys for your continued support. Head over to the Reddit community, find that post for ideas and comment below there with any ideas that you have for the series, wherever it's something that you've seen me build tonight that you think I could have done better or could have changed slightly, or whether it's something in a completely different part of the network. Now you guys can download the save file, you have access to the whole network, and you get to see for yourselves the kind of areas you'd like to see improved. And also do let me know, either on Reddit or Twitter or Facebook or even on the website itself. I think you can comment below the blog post if you want me to update the save file that's available so that you've got the new GRF tweak that affects the base costs. It's really easy to download if you don't have it, but if you want me to add it into the game so you don't have to worry about it, let me know and I'll just update the save file in the Google Drive folder. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. And until next time, I will see you soon.